Hey guys. Ugh. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this is going to be a very depressing video. As you can probably see from the title, I'm not going to be reading Homestuck anymore. Probably ever. Ever since Game Over, I have pretty much loathed the direction that the webcomic has gone in, especially with the most recent updates. I have not read them. I've only been reading live blogs of them because I have not had the time or energy to make videos. And I do not like what I see. And Davepeta Sprite squared is like the number one reason why, because when that happened, no, I don't want any part of it. Everything about that just makes me super uncomfortable. And it's like Hussie is just like, hey, you know your characters that you absolutely love, because I love Dave Sprite and Davepeta, they're like up there with my favorite characters. Well, I'm going to non-consensually fuse them together and make them into the most OOC pile of garbage that you've ever seen that strobes and makes you pretty much go fucking blind. Because as you've seen in my past videos, I have extreme photosensitivity when it comes to that stuff, and it makes it very difficult for me to concentrate on what I'm looking at. And just, he's been making awful narrative decisions left and right, and I don't want any part of it anymore. It's kind of sad because it's sort of tarnished my view of Homestuck. And like the thing is, as you can see in another new apartment, I decorated my walls with all my prints and stuff because I've got a bunch. I got this one's one of my favorites. I love the colors in this one, and I've got Rose fighting Jack, and I have a bunch of others. I wasn't able to fit them on the wall though, as you can see from all the other posters I have. Some of them might be familiar to you. Oh, I also have a scroll stuck there because it's pretty. But it's sort of been like, I think about all the really good memories that I had of Homestuck, and the fact that that's not there anymore to me, especially that I really, really liked a lot of the, intermission bits of Act 6. And after Game Over and John's rewrite, it's like all those months, maybe years of investment that I have put forth in this comic was just, it's like select all delete. Like, how am I supposed to get behind these other iterations of characters who aren't the characters that I was reading along with? I guess, they're the same physical people, but their experiences are different. And to me, experience and memory are what make an individual, especially in terms of when you're reading a story and time travel's involved. You have to consider the different time versions as separate characters. And Dave Sprite was a complete example of that, especially in Hal too. You have characters who, by virtue of the differences in their experiences and memories, are no longer the same person. They are, at their core, at the parts of them that are nature and not nurture, but nature and nurture are two separate components of what make an individual person, or character in this case, or, non-human sentient being. And to me, when you erase that, but then hand the same face back at the reader and tell them, oh, this is the exact same character, you say, no, this is not the character who went through this and that traumatic experience and had this character development. It's not the same character. It may be the same person, but it's not the same character. And I feel frustrated, annoyed, and quite frankly upset. And I'm just like, Hussie, I know you don't want to write Homestuck anymore, because that's evidently clear. And I know all the bullshit with the Kickstarter game and the Odd Gentlemen being money-squandering jackasses. But do you no longer even give a shit about us? Your fan base? I know it's making some people happy for reasons that I can't quite comprehend. I know different strokes for different folks and all that, but it doesn't feel right to me. And that's what makes me so upset, is there was so much about Homestuck that, you can see in the beginning, I started off almost afraid to like it, because before I had read it, even back when I was like, ugh, Homestuck, I knew somewhere in my being that once I figured out what it was really about, that I would really like it, and I loved it. And I say that in the past tense because I don't love it anymore. I love the memories I have, and I love the fan art, and I love my prints because they're gorgeous, but pretty much 90% of it was just all the way up to half of Act 6. Then once after game over, I'm pretty much, to me, the end. That's it. I really could not care less how it ends. Unless something happens that, magically undoes, again, the garbage that is the current state of Act 6, which I honestly doubt, considering that we're getting, at least if we can believe what Hussie says about his plans for the end, that's the end. So, whatever. Goodbye. It was fun while it lasted. I'm done. So, much as I really wanted to have this be the first thing I ever completed, this is not for, I feel lazy, I'm just not gonna do it, or, I'll read it and then record it later, because I don't want to do that. This is, I legitimately do not want to. It's not even a no interest, it's no, absolutely not. Like, hashtag fucking triggered. So, I apologize, and I want to believe that the good 95% of you guys out there are good people. I have not been exactly pleased with the quality of the comments that I get. I feel like you guys, some of you out there are you don't seem to realize that a lot of the videos you're commenting on are ancient history. And I would like to consider myself a pretty perceptive person, and I notice when I miss stuff, and there's some stuff I missed, back in the intermission where you got to play as Equius. I know I missed something, and I had intended to go back and do it, but time being that it is, I forgot to. So yeah, I know it's there, and I read it, but I don't know, I get a lot of really weirdly rude comments, and it's not exactly the most encouraging thing in the world. This channel is probably going to still exist, and I may be using it for other live blogs of things because I like live blogging. Other than that, I'm mostly active on Tumblr, and I do have meta discussions a lot. I've done meta posts before. Deliver Us from Esperb is one of my good friends. We're mutuals. I'm helping her out with a big AU ending project. She and her friend Gil are writing their own version of the ending, and since I agree with them on a lot of things, and I've also been coaching Gil on my viewpoints, one of my headcanons is being used in it, which I'm delighted about. That's what's going to be the ending for me, more than likely, because I trust them. I don't trust Hussie. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and honestly, I couldn't even guess what the ending of this comic is going to be, and I kind of weep for all of the amazing post-Esperb AUs, or characters like Davepeta get chucked back into the real world, still having the things going on, or things like being back to human and being like, wow, this is so weird. And I'm supposed to believe that he's supposed to be happy being that, and I say that because, gender confusing characters are great, because as somebody who has, I don't want to say gender problems, gender issues, or dysphoria, because it's not just dysphoria, it's a complicated situation, but basically, as somebody who identifies as a different gender than I was assigned at birth, wordy, but that's how it goes, I like that, but at the same time, it was just oh, I feel like this. Now I don't. Yay. That's not how you smooth over somebody, especially somebody like Davepeta, who clearly struggles with something akin to depression. And in my headcanons, it may be a little too morbid to be realistic. I don't have those problems myself. I do have a certain degree of anxiety, and I would say that my gender identity things are not nearly on the same difficult to deal with level as some people, and I understand that, and I don't want to say that I do feel that when I don't, but at the same time, it's you can't just erase mental illness in a character or a person, if we're thinking of them as people, by handing them this deus ex machina solution that honestly makes no fucking sense, and then expect us to be happy with that. I wanted to see Davesprite, return to his arc and make his own arc. And what further... Okay, the thing that really bothers me about Davepeta Sprite Square is Nepeta as a character. There's a certain segment of the fandom that wanted Nepeta Quest. And yeah, I know she's a side character. She was born and bred a side character. But she is a really cool female character. That, she's cute and adorable and likes to roleplay and relax and have a good time. And she'll also rip your fucking face off. And she's one of the most physically strong female characters we have. And Homestuck is full of amazing female characters. Amazingly flawed ones like Vriska, who I used to be able to enjoy her kind of assholeness, and then she was slowly getting over it. And then she goes and does and says the things she does to Jake now, and back to doing that stuff with Tavros. So we were given like this tiny taste of Tavros coming back and doing the self-esteems, kicking ass, only for him to just be unceremoniously dumped by the narrative. And other characters are just sitting idly by while this constant torment is going on. And what's sad about that is it seems like the only way that that's going to end is when they cease to be, for the dead characters who more than likely are just going to poof out of existence. And I know that Homestuck has been a lot about cessation of existence after death. I'm personally not the kind of person who likes that idea, only because I have a thing for eternity, even if it's reincarnation with no memories of your previous lives. I like the idea that energy in the universe is cyclical and that there is no such thing as a candle being extinguished, because the energy has to go somewhere, in my opinion, if equilibrium is to be believed. But that's a bunch of philosophical mumbo-jumbo that I believe in. It's not everybody's cup of tea, of course. But the fact that it's like you have these 13 to 16 to however many millions of years he spent in the dream bubbles, if that can be quantified. And it was like all under the heel of Vriska's boot. And the only way that that's ever going to let up is when he is just no longer. That goes somewhere beyond the moral event horizon into pure morbidity. So that all of it just I can't even look at that kind of thing. And for Jake, who honestly needs a fucking break. Even if you don't like Jake, I mean, you kind of have to admit that I'm starting to tear up a little bit. I had such an attachment to these characters, and now it's like Hussie is just standing there like, hey, do you know this character you love? I no longer care. It's upsetting. It's plain and simple. So, back to my tangent about Nepeta. The thing that bothers me is that we have been vying for her relevancy, just as a cute, oh, she's a mage of heart, maybe she'll be able to do something really cool with her powers. And what does Hussie decide to do to make her relevant again? Literally make her a physical part of, probably the main male character, which I would believe the fandom thinks is the main male character next to John, because the fandom loves Striders. I love Striders, but I also love the other characters, and I think that Davesprite and Nepeta should be their own thing. Sure, the narrative is shoving down our throat that they love being who they are, but if you want to make a male character, or a female character, come back and be in the spotlight again, let them be themselves. Let her be Nepeta. Stop silencing these female characters, or, making their only way to be able to be in the spotlight to literally become a physical part of a male character. That would just... If that happened in a movie, like, let's say you have this movie and you have a male and female... Look, 2 male leads and a female lead, and one of the male leads is off doing most of the plot business. The other one just happens to be popular because he's cool or whatever. And the female character dies early on in the movie, and then her comeback is not to be, here I am back again on the same level as these guys, but to literally just be like a fucking tumor on the shoulder of popular male character number 2. That's how it feels to me, and that isn't right. So, in the end, I don't want to read the comic anymore. So again, I apologize to my longtime fans. I know I'm not the most popular Homestuck reading channel. I I would have liked to be. I would have liked to have a complete thing for people to watch, because I used to recommend, you know, if you don't feel like sitting through it yourself, just listen to me reading it if you like my voice acting. But this is it. I do not want to do it anymore. So, let's catch you on the flip side, or some other cliched phrase. Like I said, I'm active on Tumblr. I'll have to spell my URL in the comments, but, like, after I've had a really yucky experience with somebody, if I don't respond to your attempts to contact me, back off. I'm a kind of keep to myself sort of person, so I choose who I want to interact with. It's nothing against you, I just don't have the energy to keep up conversations with people sometimes. So this video has gone on way too long, I apologize, so goodbye.